Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. I'm Frozen, and today we're back with some more SpellRogue, and we are doing our starting SpellRogue little kind of mini-series with here, and today we are jumping into Sefyra. Now, Sefyra as a character pretty much revolves around a few different things, and there's many different mechanics that you kind of end up going from something called Cascade, which increases X effects by a factor of how much cascade you have, which you can kind of continuously trigger to give more. There's an entire shifting mechanic, which kind of goes into other stuff a little bit later, where spells can be moved left and right, which causes a lot of positioning. You can see tilt appears here in this particular one, which I think is a unique mechanic to Sefyra as well, where basically you flip the die to the other side and you get the value on there. So no, not flip. It's not flip. It's tilt. So you tilt it and it either goes one up or down based upon where it is. So evens go down, odds go up basically by one. And that's how that basically functions there, which is kind of an interesting mechanic as well. Last mechanic that I kind of like on this Sefyra is static. Now, static is something that deals damage randomly to a particular enemy, and then will decrease itself and continue on there. So stacking static can be a really good way to get a lot of passive damage out of it. And then there's another one in here which is called Conduit, which allows for like damage stacking on enemies. You can apply it to enemies. When you hit them, they deal damage randomly to another enemy or themselves, which is kind of unique, kind of like a more activated poison effect or things like that as well. So yeah, as our starting spell here, we got Return with a Tilt, which we can spend static to give +2 to the highest die, so we can actually spend static to get extra effects. We have just deal damage with a nod, and then get +5 damage if we spend one static. And then we have Spark Shield here, which I think is a really good defense spell. For like I say 2, we get 4 defense, and we can then gain 1 that's static as well. Our artifact here being every third turn to gain 4 static, meaning that it will slowly decrease as well. And there are limits to where you can kind of increase static and get other bonuses. So why don't we just jump in? One of the things I do like about things like this was every third turn. Now, I believe these will kind of stick around between battles, so it's something where sometimes you may want to set them up before like a particular type of battle where it triggers on the first turn rather than the third one. But I forget if this is every third turn. I think that does still count here. But yeah, we'll do our usual thing as well. We would like shop. We've got our route we want to be taking, and to be honest, I do want to take one of these down, but I also want the shop, so I guess we might go this way. Should we go to the sanctuary as well, or should we get the artifact? Well, the artifact's more useful, and there are some pretty good ones Sefyra can have, which can really augment how the static works, so we can have a look at that as well. But we'll see what we get along the run. The main thing is trying to kind of min-max a little bit to get as much value as you can. So here with the static, what we want to be doing is doing this to flip that and do that. So that way we can get the most defense possible with the static, and then we can do the most damage we can with this. You can see that did an extra 1, although it did get blocked, so there's not much we can really do about it. We gain the +5 on there. The nice about it is this Sefyra really works well at kind of giving you combos and understanding how the combos work nice and early, right? Now, we've got some interesting things on here straight away. These are all the shifting mechanic cards. So you can see here, basically, every time you cast it, this will shift to the left, and whenever it shifts, you increase the damage, the block you receive for the turn. Hero Guard, pretty interesting spell for a shifting style of play. Nimbus Strike applies something called Discordant, which basically when you attack them, you gain defense based upon how much you've done that, and we can repeat the attack or the application, I believe, with that, or get extra application with that. It costs an even a nod, though, which I always find with something like this, I don't tend to like it very much, but I could be biased on that, you know. I just feel like you don't really get much defense unless you're also attacking other ways as well, which really revolves around you dealing damage repeatedly, which Sefyra does kind of do a bit of focus on, like multi-hits and stuff like that. Last one, Cloud Step. On Deplete, you get a low-end dice, which basically will shift something based upon its value to one side. And we do have the upgrade here to gain Electrify, which allows you to gain static every turn. So if you get some ways you can focus this going all the way to the left and then triggering it, it will trigger this aligned effect as well, and then kick itself all the way to the other side. Now, just bear in mind, the aligned effect is everything in here, so the shift all the way to the right is also part of the alignment, meaning it'll only trigger that effect then, not anywhere else as well, which is kind of a unique thing. There are some really good spells that basically have alignment but don't have that shift back across, which I think are broken. We'll take the Nimbus Strike because it is the most expensive spell, and as we've got a shop coming up, that might be useful, and we'll go into another battle. It's always worth thinking about, and I think once you get Sefyra unlocked, I think she's not the most difficult of characters, but I do believe that she kind of has a really good setup and impact on what you can do with the game, right? We'll do this. Technically, with that, we do get 6 because we applied the Discordant to her, so that was kind of nice. And then, yeah, we have that applying the wound again to us, so we got to deal with that. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting... I'm going to just gain some static and defense here. I like the static gain, but... So I'm just trying and gain as much value as I can. Try and get this gone if we're able to. Ah, yeah, I triggered that wrong. That's my bad. I'm going to take a bit of damage from my hubris. It's fine. No, gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them, all that jazz. Discordant is something I don't really mess around with that much with Sefyra. I find that the inconsistency of it activating can be a little bit more of a problem. Now, what have we got here then? We got Shock, which we can deal X damage and target, if target's attacking, basically it'll trigger this effect, so adjacent spells get minus countdown. At the moment, we don't have any countdown effects, so that's not worth it for us. Although Bolt Hammer might be kind of interesting, because it is quite a big attack, has some more uses, and I might be able to use that with the static gain, as well as also applying the Conduit if we go for that upgrade later. So let's bung that in, shall we? Let's bung that in. We'll pick up the Shard, and then we'll go for the artifact here and see what we get. Now, there are many different things, so every 10th spell cast dealing damage, we get to apply 1 Conduit, extra charges, or on enemy death, roll a die. I'm going to re-roll here because I would like something pretty better, and these are kind of mediocre at best. And if I explain them why, the extra charge I'm probably never really going to use, and it's kind of random, so it's not consistent. This doesn't really do anything unless we're having a lot of attack spells, which we do have, but we've kind of got to like stack it up, and then it just doesn't really do much. Like, I'll probably, by the time I cast 10 damage spells, I probably get enough damage to remove the enemy anyway, so this doesn't really matter in my opinion. And then we got on enemy death. If you're doing that, then most of the time the enemy is removed and you don't get an extra die anyway, or you have to waste stuff to kill things when you could be killing other things as well. So I would like to get something slightly better, and we get Talisman of Suspension. I think this is an instant take every single time you get it. Talisman of Suspension basically causes all dice to persist between rounds, meaning that I don't need to spend them if I don't want to, so that's also pretty good. And what are we going to be taking as an upgrade here? Do we go with the Conduit on this? Or do we just give it more damage and more static? Interesting. I like the Conduit because with the other attack I already have as well with Zap, it has some uses and some interesting effects, so we'll do that. And then if we do remove it and get something better later, we can do, right? And voila. Instantly turn that into a 10, do that and that. We can deal that damage there, we can flip this die over, and then we get that triggering. We can probably get some more defense if we want, but we'll do dark damage there and then do the defense. So Conduit is really cool because it really combos with the static really well. So what I mean by that is by casting everything to gain static, what ends up happening is the static does damage, so it'll deal 2 damage to this enemy, and then the Conduit will trigger, dealing 2 more damage, so they technically take 4. Which is like a really cool way to do it. The only issue I have currently is I don't have enough ways to kind of defend myself, so we have to kind of play around that. We get more Conduit on them. and then we'll gain more defense. So I'm being a bit more defensive here, as I don't have any other defensive tool, and I think before a fight like this, it's probably worthwhile to kind of force a more defensive solution to a fight, but I had enough offense where it didn't matter. Right? Life is a resource kind of thing. The only thing that matters is that you're above 0. Now, what have we got here? Now, we do have the tilt mechanic on this, which works well with Windcrest. And we have the ability to get an upgrade on it as well if we want to, which either can get me rolling 2 die for a 3, which we can kind of force a little bit. If we get 4s, we get them as well. Anything else just doesn't really fit the build going forward. So again, this has got that extra movement mechanic where you keep moving stuff, it'll gain more and more damage, so that's kind of cool. My only issue with that is this turner thing, because I think sometimes the movement aren't as good as what you think, but this doesn't have movement itself. It does enchant, though, things to become movements. So yeah. Or we can just gain more static. I'm going to go with Windcrest, because extra die or extra die. I'm going to take out Nimbus Strike, put the Windcrest in. We're not going to use our shard just yet, because we have a shop coming up. Ooh. Here's some interesting debates now. So, Conjugate Static is really good if you've got like a permanent static gain build. Because what you can do is just keep gaining more and more defense, right? And this also can help you out in gaining that. So you gain at least 6 defense from casting this, plus whatever other static you gained throughout your sort of setup. Ether Core is nice to get that sort of triggering Electrify going, but it's a little bit expensive. It does also give you the cascade effect, so it does kind of like bring a combo together. Jolt is really interesting in the idea that we can get this repeat effect going and start stacking up conduit along with our static as well, which is what I'm going to pick up, I think. I do like the idea of that. And I think that beats out the my standard zap, I think, and we keep the bolt hammer. I think we upgrade this immediately as well because of that. Just because the triggering the effect is going to be kind of cool. We'd like something more defensive, but we don't have anything else. I'm going to get rid of Nimbus Strike now because I don't need it, and we're going to get myself an artifact, which my static now hits twice. I would really like this, but this is such a... So, spell afflictions apply one more, or spells apply one more affliction. This works in the sense that this conduit will continually keep going, but we're going for a static build anyway, and Lightning Rod is such a good way to make sure that static deals more and more damage, right? As you continuously use it. So, this is a decision on, like, what am I really rolling into, and how am I dealing my damage? And I think I'm dealing it via static, so we're going to go with static. That really hurt me to make that decision. But it is what it is. It is what it is, right? It's figuring stuff out. Okay, so we have a problem with this guy. We got to either remove him immediately or just hope we don't take too much damage while trying to remove him from the field. So we can defend here. Do that. That gets overflowed. More defense, which is kind of nice. I can do this, which I'm still not fully defended, though. I guess we just roll that, try and get more static, flip it, and then put it in there. You're going to take lots of hits on these turns anyway, like, it's just the way it's going to be. Use that crest early, and then flip this die, do it again, and then use the jolt immediately. We'll repeat by using static. Use the 2 here and do it again as well. So you can see the conduit being stacked up is really good, and then we can just kill off there, but we got an interesting build. Need some more defensive stuff, and I probably should have picked up the thing that was going to give me it from the from having static, but we sacrifice static. I think Veil of Nimbus is a pretty interesting defensive tool. It's not bad, because it's still, like, 4 for 4. But it has some other benefits as well, so don't think it works in the build, though. Now here, because I feel like I need a defensive tool, the option is to heal and just hope I have enough DPS, or try and go for a spell for something defensive. I'm going to try and go for a spell for something defensive, so I will roll here to do that. That's also very interesting if we're going for this sort of build. I will pick up the Galvanic Fling. Don't think it's great, but it's better than nothing. And it has to be honest, it's slightly better than this. But yeah, that's kind of the problem. Bolt Hammer I still need. Windcrest is kind of interesting. I guess we'll keep with this setup. I don't have enough defense to do what I would like to do. But I think I need Windcrest for the damage. This might be a hard fight. This might be the time where you guys see me lose. And I think that's the one thing to recognize sometimes is you won't win everything. And you're not going to be able to. And sometimes you have to kind of just understand that that is going to be what's going to happen. So you saw there, because it always used the highest die, it triggered on itself, meaning you got more sparky die to do the things I want to be able to do. So that's kind of nice. We'll gain some defense. Probably should have made sure I got the other two in there first, but hey ho. I took damage for no reason. So yeah, my Windcrest got disappeared there. Got sucked up by the my poor decisions from before. We're going to do the 12 to this, I think. To trigger that. Turn that into a 4 as well. That will trigger the overflow here. We do get a 1 and a 6. That goes in there. That 2 goes in there. Then we'll use the 4 there to trigger that again, and do that again as well. So you can see the conduit really does stack up, and does deal a lot of damage, which is kind of like our saving grace. But this is actually working quite well. Thought I'd be in more danger than that, but I guess I got kind of a good setup early. So again, we're going to always double check both of them before making a decision. Always worth doing. Ooh. Even cast that rightmost spell. I'm going to probably take this. Essentially, it'll trigger on every even turn. Oh no, the cursed die. Guaranteed 1 every turn. Does that work for me? Kind of. So, what I'm thinking here, I'm thinking of getting rid of Bolt Hammer. I think it's just a little bit too expensive at the moment. Anyway, you get Galvanic Fling in, which does some cool stuff, and we can repeat this twice, or just give it more damage, which is either or. I think we just make it repeat twice. But the other thing is, I want to see what spell I'm going to get off this. And there is always one spell where if we do get it, I will pick it up immediately. We did not. Which is a bit disappointing. Would have loved to have seen it. Tempest Slash, you can see here, does have that multi-hit effect, which is quite useful. And you can also gain some static around it. So there's that as an option also. Which with Jolt and Galvanic Fling could be really good as part of a setup. So what am I thinking here? Hypercube is interesting because it means I could get Windcrest and every other turn I could trigger it. I'm going to go for that. And then I get 2 die every other turn. Guaranteed. So yeah, the thing I took here basically will automatically cast the leftmost spell, which means that this will automatically cast for whatever max value it can do, and it'll give me 2 die on every even turn, which means I can do whatever I need to do with the rest of it. I might take the Galvanic Fling out for the meantime, if I think that's a good idea. But we got Jolt and stuff like that, so maybe we should be okay if we can just like ramp out a lot of offensive attacks straight away. Now, which way are we going first? We're going to the left or we're going to the right? I would probably like to go to the shop though, or do an event if I can. Maybe we could do... No, we can't get that as well. We do have an option to go to Elite, so I might actually do that. That might be a good idea. Yes, and we'll do the events run the shop because I have enough gold immediately. Ooh. So, I do love this library one. It allows you to get spells from all the other, like, I guess sorcerers? Voidwalkers? But yeah, in my opinion, what are the best ones to go for? I think it varies depending on, like, what you're trying to do. With the fact that we got, like, the tilts and stuff, like, rolling die could be really interesting for us. Also, like, earth spells are pretty good at dealing some, like, multi-hit damage and things like that as well. That's pretty good scaling. This has a lot of dice generation that you can sometimes have. I'm going to go for a water spell here, because I feel like I can probably get something pretty good. Interesting. Hitting 2 times, hitting all enemies with Crushing Wave could be useful, and there could be a play with that, so I'll pick that up. An AoE is sometimes just as important as you think it might be. And we'll do this fight, and then go to this elite fight here. Like, so I don't really have anything that's AoE, I've just got good stuff that can sometimes do an AoE. And we'll do this, is to get my 2 extra die. Then we'll generate static this way, which will get spent to overflow that 6, which is very annoying. Put that in there, I think. No, put this in there to gain that static, to then put the 3 in here. To then attack this guy, I guess. Put that in there and do this. And not Tornadomancy. Pretty good payoff when that is. So you can see what I mean when I say I don't have enough defense to deal with a lot of the stuff. And this is kind of like what I was mentioning earlier. Is that if stuff goes a bit more on the aggressive side, I'm going to have issues dealing with all the damage that I'm thinking. Bear in mind that the static doesn't count in the damage calculations when it goes and hits the conduit, which is the one thing to watch out for. So you might remove things when you're not too sure if you have removed them and stuff like that. It's something where even I kind of forget sometimes that triggers, so... And then we can do this, because that gets more damage out. So Galvanic Fling is kind of a setup for targeting a particular type of monster there. Ooh. Apply Conduit. Or Thunder Fist. I do like Thunder Fist. The damage to all is pretty good, and we do gain a good amount of static at the moment. It's little bits, but we spend it. That's the other thing. I will pick up Thunder Fist as a payoff card. We might have an option for that as well. And, yeah. So, Thunder Fist is the thing that will probably end up working with static. We have Tempest Slash if we do go more into the conduit type of playstyle. We have Crushing Wave as just general utility, but we still need something defensive. I'll go this way, just in case I do want to bail. Ooh, use max life. Yeah, I'll take the max life, that shard. Repeating twice could be pretty good as well. Keep saying I need defense, though. I keep saying I do need defense. That was one of the decisions where I was thinking, like, is it best for me to sit there and go this way or that way? And I'm going to take the gamble and the risk. We can always bail on the second one if needed. Ah, here we go. So this is where I wasn't too sure if I wanted an AoE effect because of this particular fight. It's kind of knowing which ones are available and which ones you want to kind of plan around as well. So put that in there. It will get some defense this way as well. We'll then do this immediately because it is 2 damage, and then do it again. And we're getting the conduit stacked on it because the conduit will allow us to kind of hit multiple enemies in a way. So that's also something we can plan around. I'll put the 4 in there. Put that 4 in there. Flip this die. Becomes a 4. Flip that die to get the overflow trigger on there. Use that 2 there. Do it random. Just because it will still do the effect. I don't have weakness on me, so I want to get more value if I can. I guess this is still better. if that's the case, we'll do that. And then put that in there, ready for later. Oh, and it gets removed by... Man, the lightning rod is doing work. Saying that though, it's doing work because of the conduit combo with itself as well, so... We are doing quite good things. Ferromagnetize. Apply conduit to all enemies. And we do have the roll an extra... rolling a wound die after it's been depleted. Though we can't really deplete this easily. We do have the ability to get something on here which is called Ionize. When you get attacked, you gain static. And again, this allows you to gain more and more static over time. Again, I need defensive options, so I might just roll here to get like a really good defense option. Guarding Sefyra isn't bad, especially with things like Thunder Fist and stuff, because it, it'll pay for the discount in some ways of giving you half discount back to other spells and gives you a good amount of defense, which is a little bit more to invest in. The electric buffer I like quite a lot. And it does give pretty good defense for the value you can get from it, so I'm going to pick that up actually. And I will swap that out from the Nimbus. And I might upgrade it now actually. Actually no, we'll wait, because we've got another event. Then we can decide if we want to bail here. Lose an attack spell, lose a non-attack spell, or receive the drought. Every third battle has no spell rewards. I think this is fine actually to choose again a rune. But what do we get? Galvanic Rune to gain this. Rune of Dominance. If I had something with Deplete on here, the Rune of Dominance would be pretty good. And -1 to adjacent spells. That's also kind of interesting with the Galvanic Fling. Triggering these sort of stuff could be interesting, but I kind of want to get the Galvanic Rune. But I might gamble it a little bit. Like, there's something that kind of stands out I think is absolutely amazing for the pickup we're getting. So, yeah. Oh, there we go. Automation Rune. Cannot be cast with die and auto-cast each turn. We'll put that in the Wind Crest, because that's just going to be 2 die every turn. Someone that's mentioned this combo to me, and I couldn't believe I missed it last time, so we're going to do them justice and allow that to now be used here. So this doesn't need to be on that left-hand side, but we can put something else there to cast that every other, like, on the turns we need it to, right? Now, a good thing to do is always put something that you know you get good value out of. So, Electrolyze could be something you could put in there. So, we're always going to put a 6 into this, which turn to a 5, then get +2 value if we have static, so that could be pretty good. Or the other option is to put something like Electric Buffer, which basically means that every even turn, I get guaranteed 5 armor, which is, pretty useful. Or put something like Galvanic Fling, which will trigger and start stacking up that for free, which could be also pretty good. I'm going to go for the more offensive option, just because, again, I like dealing damage. And I am... I don't think I'm strong enough to face the Crones, and that's what I normally put things on. So, the 3 Crone fight can be a very difficult fight for you to face. And what else are we upgrading here? Repeat twice on there. No, I get more defense. And I think it's kind of one of those ones where you can really kind of get run over by it. Now, I think I'm weak against the 3 Crones, and I don't have the other potion to deal with the other elite fight that we have, but I might be able to outpace it if I was thinking about either one. I think both fights are bad, so the fact that we got that one there, and then we have the Malediction Demon, and then we have, say, the Crone fight, both of those are really bad for me, so I'm going to avoid them. What do we get here? Gain static, +1 to lowest die. Yes, please. Full static build for getting all the combos today. So, what do I mean by the fact that I'm weak against the Crones in the Malediction fight? The Malediction fight, I require setting up to deal damage, which means I think I would take quite a lot of damage in return, plus the attacks that I get off the demon, that would cause me to lose the run. The other one with the Crone fight is I don't have enough defense to probably survive a big turn if they're all attacking me, which I don't think I can kill them off before that happens, which is the other reason why we went this way. Probably a bit of a coward play. The risk and the reward is one of those things that you end up taking. I could have probably played it more aggressive and gone for it, but this way I get to play a bit more safer and hopefully have a bigger impact for like what I wanted to be able to do. So that's kind of why we went this way around. We're going to gain my static first. Okay, we'll do it again. That should then roll this one over. So you see we're getting more and more static, and with this, as well as the electrolyze and all that stuff, we're having pretty good Sep immediately. And we're going to focus on this guy, because we can actually hit him, which will deal damage to other stuff. I've got lots of 5s though, which is not really what I wanted, but guess it works fine in a way. In a way. And then we'll set that up. So you can see there, that did the 12 damage, which helped reduce their defense a little bit. Now they're all dealing damage to me. We're going to put that on there, which really annoyed that got infected on there. That's already been cast, so we don't need to worry about it. And yeah, this is what we do. Turn that to a 2. That gets over there, get more of those. Put that for defense. Put that for defense. Again, I think we put that in for defense as well. And put that for defense. Trigger that jolt. Gets rid of those. And then put more defense down. Electric buffer doing work. And I do have a good amount of static, I will admit that. We're getting like at least 12 plus every turn. So that is kind of nice. I'm going to put the 6 in there to get rid of it, and put the 5 in there to get rid of that. To then roll over this to get the +2 immediately working. And do that again to get a 1 back. The 1 goes in here. Deal damage to this guy. So, the one thing that's bad about the conduit is it's when losing health from other effects, right? So I have to make sure this gets damaged in some other way other than the conduit, and also that it actually takes health damage. This is why I'm not really attacking the other ones unless I can actually, like, break their armor and stuff. And, yeah. Can be a little bit difficult to kind of force sometimes, but in my opinion is well worth it once it gets going. And there is another upgrade to the whole static build that you can have, which allows you to essentially min-max the whole static by hitting everyone, which is also pretty good. And you kind of got to watch out for it. But yeah, it's a slight nuance of, okay, can I actually deal damage this turn to this guy, or do I not deal damage? And like you saw there, I didn't actually deal damage to that, so the conduit didn't trigger, which meant that, yeah, they didn't do anything, but we got enough static to get through that anyway. Which is kind of why I think like this static build has some really cool stuff. Here we go, Overclock. That is actually pretty good. I like it. It's really good defense, and it's probably one of the best ones we could get. Goodbye, Nimbus Veil. And I would like to fit it in, but I can't, unfortunately. I cannot. Because you've got loads of ways to gain static all over the place. Jolt, Galvanic Fling. I think I get rid of Galvanic Fling because, again, it just doesn't deal enough, and this still applies the conduit itself anyway, and I can do this every other turn. Plus other ways to gain static, maybe. Might help reduce the countdown of this, and gaining more static and more countdown, we can kind of mess around with how this functions. Yeah. I am going to gain max life here. Damn, a second. Sorry about that. Let's do this boss fight. So, this is another interesting one where I'm not too sure how to deal with this as my build goes, because essentially my jolt is random, so we're not really going to get like very consistent hits on that. But we're going to work around it. We are going to work around it. So we can apply jolt, see what happens there. Get defense. Get more defense. Flip that. Oh, nice. We've got a 6 and a 1 there. So I can use the 1 to deal damage as well. The even can go in here. trigger that immediately. Now, I'm going to keep putting this on here, I think, rather than this guy, because this guy will get removed anyway. Right? So there's no point kind of forcing that to happen. Get another 1 back. Do that in there. Then put the 3 in. Ooh, Dark Mage. Cool. And then do that as well. Yeah, and we have dice left over, which also do persist, by the way. We haven't really used that yet, but yeah, we just get to keep this die around. So again, we're going to apply the conduit to there. We still get to keep that. That triggers immediately as well, which is also kind of nice. And yeah, this is how we have fun. Put a 4 into that. That overflows that die. Like, we got enough conduits stacking up that we don't really need to worry about, like, too much stuff either. And put that in there. The 2 goes in there. That 4 can go in there as well. That 5 goes in there, which overflows that. We get to trigger that, get that more conduit. We do get to cast everything every turn. Overclock is working out really well. And I feel like we can cast it pretty easily, so I don't think there's much to worry about at that front either. Okay, that triggered on the wrong one. Let's remove it. Turn that to a 4. That got the overflow there. Put the 3 in there. Put that 3 in there. Put this 2 in here. Technically this triggers twice. So the reason I'm stacking it on this one is because the damage I can get to this one will be split across, and we'll still stack everything else up anyway. But it means I'll at least get a little bit more DPS if I do hit this to hit these guys, so it's kind of just like balancing out what I need, right? And I guess we'll do that. So we get a 4 back. We'll just end turn here. Because this isn't triggering, so when we get these, we'll... oh, it is triggering straight away. So again, keep stacking it on that one. Yeah. This is the fun of static. A lot of planning, though, I will admit. I will admit that. It's a lot of trying to figure out, okay, what's the best course of action? What am I doing here? What am I doing there? I can go there. And put that one there. That triggers that immediately. Again, apply that more there. And get more defense. And I got 18 of this going somewhere. Yeah, it's all good fun. The main thing I want to try and keep doing is gaining as much static as I can when I kind of roll these and stuff, so to kind of trigger this as much as possible, right? So you see here, like, I can't deal any damage to these guys, and I'm actually going to use this to create more dice here. Because I don't actually deal damage to them. So these are the turns where you kind of end up struggling because of the fact that you can't actually deal any damage. It's 8 on there. That casts out, get the overflow trigger. Again, apply conduit to that guy. So the good thing is with overclock we're getting a good amount of defense, right? That's like the main thing. And I'm applying conduit to the back one again because, yeah, the damage share is just more important this way. And we do have a 6, so we can flip that over. And that 5 can become a 6 and get flipped over as well. And we're just using a lot of the Windcrest stuff to just do as much as we can. Do that there. See what I mean? Like, when the combo goes off, it's like, knocks everything out. It's great fun. I absolutely love it to bits. And I think it scratches that itch for me of just, like, doing all the cool combo stuff, right? The good old fun build. I was worried at one point about this, and now I'm not. Flurry, very interesting idea. We could have fun with that. Skybreak, if you have the cascade effect, this is just broken as anything, and it can have some really cool effects with it. I do like it quite a lot. Flurry is interesting, but doesn't really fit the build, just because of Like, it kind of does fit the build, but casting it is a bit of an issue, and I lose all my static if I do it, which I'm not a fan of, right? It's kind of anti-synergy unless I keep continuously keeping the stacks every turn, right? We'll have a look at my other reward, though. I will take... Ooh. I'm going to take the Staff of Splintering. We unlocked this last time, I believe, and it's actually pretty good. Dreadstone appears again, which me and him have arguments, but I call it a lover's quarrel. Ah, here we go. Here we go. So, Wings of Thunder is probably the best spell that Sefyra can get. 100%. As an offensive tool, it is brilliant. And I think there is no better spell, and I think you should pick it up every single time. Does it make a lot of the runs very similar in some ways? Yes, it does. The other option we have here is Solid Electricity, which I think is also pretty good for my build, particularly in the way that we're playing it, which could also be a really cool way of going about it. Can I fit it into the build? I do not know, is the question, but I think this might be better for how we are currently playing, right? I get lots of extra die, I get to spend them. I get good defense already once we get set up, so there's no issue on that front either. But Wings of Thunder is definitely, like, really good. The fact it hits all enemies, the fact that it triggers a lot of stuff like this as an offensive spell is just really good overall, without a doubt. But we're going to lean into doing something interesting, and yeah, you should take this. Don't take this, take this. But we're going to take Solid Electricity, because I think this build can work with that. And I think this is the point of where it's like, this comes with experience, right? It's that figuring out of, okay, what are we trying to do that's going to give the best output? We're going to take Spark Shield out, put Solid Electricity in. I'm going to switch this over to here, so we get the auto cast eventually quicker. Right? Because that auto casting gives me the block and then gives me the dice, which I can then spend to get the other one kicking off as well. Where are we going here? I guess we're going to the left. I don't need from the shop or anything else. And ooh, apply broken to any random spell. No, we're not doing that. Crystal Golem. I don't like the idea of that, although it would be cool. So we'll just leave. That there could have given you the Crystal Golem, which deals damage to everything based upon the amount of dice roll, I believe. Which eventually can hurt, which hurts you as well as the problem, right? Okay, how are we doing this? The 5 can go in there to get defense. This become... Ooh, I mucked that up. As we saw there. Well, let's flip that one anyway. Flip that again. We can get more defense here. Use the jolt. Trigger this to go and attach to that. The 3 goes in the defense, and then we use the jolt again. So yeah, Solid Electricity should trigger now, which means we get a lot more of those dice, so this is a lot more useful. Double my 6s up. Cool. Spend that one somewhere, spend it there. And that becomes a 2. 5 goes in there. That 5 can go in there as well. And then 3s can go here. That 3 can go there. That one can go there. This 6 goes there. Roll dice. Deal conduit damage to that. Put that 3 there. Keep the rest of them. So this thing stacks up and keeps going, so it's something to watch out for, because eventually you won't be having any defense with it on the field, which is kind of a bit of a nightmare. But I'm in a state where I probably don't need to worry about that. So we can kind of like generally just ignore it. Just because we got so much DPS output that we can probably beat that anyway. That 6 can go in there. Yeah, that triggers that immediately. Again, we'll trigger that on this now, because this one's pretty much going to be gone anyway. Trigger that one there to get the extra dice. Ooh, 2 6s. Cool. Well, if that's the case. Get an extra one back. 5 goes in there. 4 goes there. That 4 can go in there. Trigger on that one. Man, we actually get a lot of static. So, yeah, Thunder Fist could be a good option as well to finish this off. No doubt about it. No doubt about that. This is what I mean, like, I feel like you get a lot of more cool combo stuff with Sefyra, and she kind of revolves around that quite a lot. So yeah, Thunder Fist could be really interesting for this build. Like, one of the other reasons I kind of went for the Solid Electricity rather than the best spell in the game in Wings of Thunder is the fact we have the Talisman of Suspension, meaning that I can hold on to stuff if I ever need to, right? Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have done it. Which does kind of, like, impact your decision-making process on, like, what I should probably do. We'll do the Jolt here. And then flip that to a 4. Oh yeah, I used the repeats already. Okay. My bad. Jolt something again. Put that in, do that and that. Let's get defense. 5 goes in there. That triggers that immediately. We can play Conduit, we get enough defense, and I can get 8 more there as well. Good thing my spells don't really target. Ah, look at all that. All the Conduit stuff. Let's go. That's a 6. Nice. Do that. Just get the overflow again. And yeah. This is why I like this game so much, is the ability to pull off, like, really cool combos and kind of just, like, get as much value as you can out of the things you're trying to do, right? Because you are kind of trying to min-max everything as much as possible. And you want to try and just, like, get something that works and has really good synergy. And sometimes you're not going to be able to get everything you want. But you got to make do with what you've been given, as such, right? Which can be pretty terrible, I will admit. Never denying that. Put that in there. Go up to a 2. Oh, cool. That goes there. That can trigger that immediately. Apply the Conduit. And I guess put that in there for defense, even though we don't need it. And we're done. Just had to finish with the static. Ether Storm. Man, we are getting all the good stuff today. We really are. So yeah, Galvanic Fling can probably go out now. We'll get rid of Crushing Wave, don't need that anymore. So Ether Storm. This is a unique mechanic as part of this particular spell, which gives you Cyclone, which means that every time I cast a spell, I gain more static. So that is also really, really good. Now, technically, like, is that better than what I currently have? Like, Thunder Fist could be interesting, but we might put Ether Storm in and put it at the front as well and see how that goes. Enchanting Rune. Lose Overclock to gain a Void spell. I like Overclock. We'll pay the 40 gold here. Right, apply a random enchantment to the lowest die. We'll skip that. That's a terrible rune. Do we have a shop in my way? I do not have a shop in my way. I'm gonna gain block, gain that. Ooh. The brand is actually pretty useful. I will take that. Now here, I think my build is pretty good, and I don't need anything else to kind of min-max it, really, if I don't want to. So we could just ignore the elite fight, but I'm still going to do it, because, again, it's always worth kind of showing, you know, if you make poor decisions and stuff like that, kind of like what the effect may be or may not be, but we didn't need to take this risk. We probably could win the game without it, so we could have avoided this fight if we wanted to. And that's the one thing I think, like, you kind of try and figure out sometimes, is like, is this worth me doing this fight kind of thing, right? And in most cases, you can just go, actually, no, it's probably not worth me doing this fight. That goes in there. We got the extra 1. We put the 2 in there. I was hoping to get better value than that, but we'll gain the defense and apply this here. This gets triggered anyway. Actually, I probably should trigger this, then got that. That's a misplay from my part. this triggers anyway, look. So, yeah, we get a good amount of defense. Need to trigger this, though. Which we will do, eventually. Apply the conduit again. Turn that into a 4. Get a 6 out of it. So it can go here to get the defense and stuff immediately. Again, you can see we're gaining power as well, so this is actually kind of the thing where we probably should just, like, leave these till late to play. And I can't actually cast that, so that's pretty disappointing, but we get to keep them around, so we don't take any damage. And as long as we don't use the unstable, we're in a pretty good spot. So, yeah, we just won't use it. I am mean completely. Never denying that. Apply more conduit to you. Should we go static electricity? I think we just win anyway. Like, we don't need to worry about it. Auto casting and all the good stuff. Zephyr's Touch is interesting. Does have a good thing to gain the effect to gain the potency, which gives you extra uses with the dice. Here we're actually going to re-roll these because I got good options we can probably get if we want to get there. Magnetic Fields is also another way we can gain that ionized, which is also pretty useful. Sky Flare. Now, I do like Sky Flare, and that does kind of work with the build if you wanted to go for it, but we kind of already got, like, good stuff anyway. And the Burrow Cage is really good against AoE fighters as well, which you don't really have. I'm going to take the Magnetic Fields here, just because it has a really decent effect. We're going to unlock this slot, I think. Should we? Should we just make this easier to cast? We'll make this easier to cast. Get more dice out of it. That gives me less defense, though. Nah, let's put the Thunder Fist in. You go, Thunder Fist. I mean, I could go Ether Storm, but I want to show the cool Thunder Fist. Okay. So this is one of the fights I hate the most. If you ever see this, always watch out for this one. So all the Voidlings can be summoned, or can all be summoned this way, and they all apply different effects plus this attacking. Thing is, this can also enrage these, which makes them harder to deal with as well. So it's something you've really got to watch out for as a fight, because it's not easy to deal with, this particular fight. Because, especially with like a lot of builds, you're trying to pick up scaling stuff and things like that as well. You end up being like stuck between this place of like, can I actually deal enough damage while also taking enough damage in return, especially with the Berserk and the Gain in Fury and all those other things as well. It's pretty frustrating to deal with, in my opinion. It's probably the only fight that I'm never really happy to see. Well, I'm not really happy to see any fight, to be honest, but you know what I mean. Let's start trickling that down. And again, we got another one of those. So we're going to try and do our best out of this, right? And get as much defense and all the setup that we can. So that is going to be the plan. This can go away immediately. We'll just chuck that in there for now. And start gaining our static while spending it. And trying to gain as much as we can out of it. 7 damage randomly. Should kind of get more value out of those before I do that, but overclock. Apply that to you. Do the 4 and I was going to do the 2, but I guess that goes in there then. Again, just trying to spend as much of this static as I can. That goes in there. That can also go in there. Gain that there as well. Put the 6 in there for 75 damage. Well, apply the conduit first. Right. Good. And then that goes. And then these are summoned, so they all die anyway. So it's that kind of point where it's like you do want to be able to focus particular things down, and if you don't have particular spells to do it, you can actually kind of get overwhelmed. And you kind of can see there, like if I kept destroying the other stuff, I might have got overwhelmed easily. Again, we'll take the health because that's more important, and let's do our boss spell. Okay, Arthronex, let's go. Is it Arthronex? I fight this boss so much. Ah, yeah, Arcanex. Don't even know his name. That's terrible. But there we go, we get to trigger that immediately, so that's all pretty good. Then let's start gaining a good amount of dice and power for the turn. I will admit, it is pretty cool that I can do this like this, you know. Just begin the setup of like, I'm going to have all the power in the world. A 3 can go in there. Just put that general 3 in here. Apply the conduit effect. Apply that and spend. Do it again. I am already fully defended, so we don't need to worry at that front. We can just set that up and then put that in there to almost deal enough damage. And the question is will we remove the enemy by Thunder Fist? Put that in there, because that was really annoying that landed there. Or will we remove them by our conduit effects? That will be the question. And then we do this. Gaining all that power, it's really good. It goes in there. Apply the conduit again. Use this first to deal about 74 damage. Gets invulnerable. We can still do this. We don't get the damage, but it still applies the conduit. So even though we're invulnerable, they do still take the effects thing on there. So it's worth you still applying the effects if you can. So always remember that with invulnerability. It just stops damage, doesn't stop effect stacking. So, yeah. Always watch out for it. That and that. We can get the extra there. Now, I guess we'll use these because it's still extra. And we get to flip some stuff over. That 3 can go in there. Can I get 12? I think I can. That's... And then put that in there. Get an extra die back out. Use this 4 in there first. For applying all the damage. And do we just do 72 again? No, we just do that. And apply this. With the conduit and everything else, like Thunder Fist is a bit overkill, but hey, it fits the build and I like the theme, you know. The real question is, I wonder how much static I could technically gain from all this, right? Like, that's the interesting thing. Because with these, you gain half rounded up. So, it's kind of like you kind of want to be using them as much as possible. Use that immediately, get more on there. Put the odd there. Do the same again with that. Do the 4 to deal the damage. Do the 4 again to deal more damage, and I think we're done. Let's do it with Thunder Fist. Not bad at all. And that is Sefyra done as well. But yeah, I think you are looking around sort of static conduit stuff every single time with Sefyra, and you have a lot more an effect for it. You do have the other bit, which I think is the Harmony Start, which you kind of want to maybe jump into a different aspect of her with the cascade effects and stuff, which is a little bit less consistent, but is like really a lot more powerful as well. But yeah, it's not a bad build. It already helped, I think, here was getting the lightning rod for the static build more than anything else, and I think also the static catalyst really does help out also. But yeah, these two for any static build are pretty much just like really good to pick up if you are generating and keeping static around, or generate little bits of static. So if we had the cyclone effect as well, like we would have been gaining on every spell, everything would have got plus, or one spell, one dice would have got +1 also. So yeah, I hope it's going to help us explain Sefyra a little bit as well. We've got all these unlocks. Tornadomancy, you can get to spend this and this damage on your turn. This is why I like it. Like it feeds my stacking addiction. Dark Mirage is also pretty good with replicating other things as well. And then Harmony, yeah, this is kind of an interesting thing. Mentioned as it goes, really focuses around the cascade effect, increase the value of X effects, so like that X effect gets plus extra, this gets plus extra, and it's applied before the multiplication bit, so it's all, think of the X effects in brackets, which means that if you've got +2 cascade, I put a 3 in this, I actually do 10 damage, which is pretty cool. You know, rather than if you had power, you do the 3 + 6 to do 8 damage, which is kind of awkward, but you can really leverage that with certain spells that we saw with the Skyfall as well, which is, you know, literally the one you're looking for at that build. But yeah, that's all of these all set up. Now, I mean, if you do want to need to do more of this sort of beginning SpellRogue kind of thing as well, either fighting that final stage 4 zone also with this and showing how to do that, we can do that as well. You'll have to let me know in the comments on this. But yeah, I hope this kind of explains all the characters a little bit and kind of getting you introduced into SpellRogue and kind of like what mechanics you're looking for, what sort of things you're looking to pick up, and everything else as well. Codex is always really useful to have a little look at on sort of the unlocks and things, what spells are available if you're ever unsure. You can always do this in the middle of the run as well, so you just go to your options and go straight into the Codex, which is kind of nice because if you're looking for particular outs or stuff or what you can roll into, that is always something to think about as well. But yeah, again, if you do enjoy these videos, do leave a like, subscribe to see more, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.